All right, it's 1300. I'm going to call this meeting to order. And, do we have approval of the agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll say. Okay. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Right. All right. Just had time to look over the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the May 3rd minutes.
I'll say. All in favor? Anybody opposed? All right. Open it up to Michael for the budget.
So, in the last meeting, the board was informed that substantial work had been done on the budget. I was unable to locate work product that was consistent with that. What I had been able to find is that the payroll evaluations had been completed. There was an expense spreadsheet that had been started, but because substantial expenses are missing from the general ledger, they haven't been reported. The numbers are inaccurate, so that rendered those evaluations that had been previously done unusable. I couldn't find any documentation on revenue analysis for either the general fund or the water fund or RTA. So as we stand right now, I have met with all of the department heads. We've gone over every line item for expenses. We've talked about the vendors that they use, what's recurring, how often, what times they or the frequencies that they need, if it's something they do quarterly or monthly or annually, things like that, what projects needed to be done, and what any other one-offs from the departments that they saw, because as somebody coming in, I don't know exactly what they're going to be doing, So I've collected all the data for the revenue analysis, even though we don't have the revenue, or the expense analysis. We don't have the expenses in the accounting software yet to generate reports that would have done that for us more easily. I have met with the county, the tax assessor, and the tax collector to ascertain what we can expect to receive in revenue and from billable revenue, and then a collection rate. So I've done all that work. I unfortunately was not able to compile a preliminary budget for this meeting, which I really wanted to do. We had some issues with payroll, and I had to spend a lot of time with tech support yesterday and today, so I was not able to get that completed. But what I do want to make sure that we're aware of is that we have to advertise a budget, the vote, for 14 days. The earliest we can do that is 1 week from today, which is the 14th. And so the budget vote has to be scheduled between the 28th, which is that 2 weeks after we initially publish, and the 30th. It has to be voted on by the 30th. So the board needs to set, ideally today, a time in that window so that we can post the notification by law. And by law, the draft budget needs to be available during the 14-day window. So I will have something that is serviceable by the 14th, hopefully something complete by the 14th, which is 1 week from today.
Yeah.
But that's the current budget status.
So we need to have a budget hearing on the 14th.
No, we need to have a budget hearing on the 28th through the 30th. I have to have the budget available by the 14th so they can be viewed.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We won't have to meet on the 14th.
No, we don't have to be on the 14th. I just have to have a document that the public can view so that on the budget hearing, they can make comment
Okay.
relative to something that we would all be looking at.
Okay. Okay.
Now, the deadline to advertise is Monday, so we don't have to decide that today. We do absolutely have to have that in the paper this week. So we do have until Monday to determine a good time for everybody. So,
Okay.
do y'all have any questions for me?
Okay. All right. Okay. Anything further on the budget?
Not on the budget, no, sir.
Okay.
Everything else under the finance update.
Okay. This time I'll open up the floor to public comment. Go ahead, John. Got 5.
We asked for an update on the project down here for the road repair and retaining wall repairs.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, we were told that work was supposed to be started in April.
I don't know. That's up to the DOT. It's out of my hands.
Okay.
You'll have to talk.
Any update at all?
They haven't told me anything on it.
Okay.
Anybody else for public comment? Okay. Do we have a motion to close public comment?
Motion closed.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Nobody, anybody opposed? All right. Going on to old business. On the old town hall, we'd opened it up for bids, and I've received 2 bids. At this time, I'm going to open those up. Got one bid for $22,501.
Very definition of a soup.
Exciting.
Expensive.
It's building.
Building and exposure.
That one is for $21,000.
So,
Yes, that's.
Yeah, Chris Clark's got the winning bid. Next up under old business is the animal control noise ordinance. Mr. Hall, would you like to speak first?
Pardon?
Would you like to speak first, sir?
I'm just here to see if you got everything cleared up.
Yeah,
Got it fixed, what,
yeah, yeah. I didn't know if the attorney was gonna get it to us or not, so I had typed up the first one for the noise ordinance, but our attorney got us one about 2 hours ago. Would anybody else like to speak on the noise ordinance? Would you like to speak on the noise ordinance, ma'am?
Noise ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, well, I that's what we hear about. I didn't know
Yeah.
we had an ordinance.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, ma'am, is pass one. Yeah.
So a bunch of us are here from the Sweetwater Apartments over on this French Road. And our neighbor across the road has a number of hound dogs. And he lets them run loose at night. They come over to our complex, sit outside our windows, they bark, keep us awake. They leave their droppings there. They've killed some of the local cats. And we've gone to the sheriff, we went to the health department, and we were told to come here, and so we're asking for help. What do
Yeah.
I do about this?
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to. We've got an ordinance drawn up here we've got an ordinance drawn up here, ma'am, dealing with with that sort of matter.
This would be a new ordinance?
Yes, sir.
This is,
Are you all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evidently.
When would the new ordinance take effect?
Mhm.
Some action taken. Well, I mean, it starts, and it don't stop till like 1, or it starts like around midnight and don't stop. The dogs will not stop until about 4 in the morning or later. And I've got 2 little puppies, and they get them all riled up, and that makes me feel bad because, you know, that is along with noise ordinance. Well, I can't control my dogs when they bark, and the Issue neighbor, is going in other areas. Yes. that We are trying to. yes,
Mhm.
it's constant bark. I mean, it's not, we're not complaining about my dogs, we're complaining about the dogs coming over to the complex and I mean, you know, and even, they need to be chained up because ours has to be on a leash every time they're out.
Mhm.
So it's not just the noise, it's dogs coming over when I take my small dog out and try to attack him.
Yeah.
And apparently there's no ordinance or anything against that either. The sheriff said I can spray them with a mace, but other than that,
Mhm.
they're just kind of vicious.
Yeah.
okay, is anybody aware of the noise ordinance or the animal control ordinance as it stands right now?
Yes.
Okay, basically this is the ordinance that we've had standing, we've added a penalty to it, and I'll read that to you. An animal is declared a public nuisance by the designated party who will issue a citizen a citation to the custodian for the violation. Citations may be delivered in person or sent by registered mail to the custodian. The citation issued shall impose upon the custodian a civil penalty of $50 for the first violation of Section 13, $100 for the second violation of Section 13, and $150 for the third violation of Section 13. The violator shall pay the citation to Town Hall within 14 days of the receipt in full satisfaction of the assessed civil penalty. This penalty is in addition to other fees authorized by this order. In the event that the custodian does not pay the civil penalty within a period prescribed, a criminal summons shall be issued against the custodian for violation of this chapter, which is a Class 1 misdemeanor punishable by imprisonment and be subject to a fine of not less than $500 pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 14-13. So we have added a written penalty to the ordinance as it stands, and it's a pretty in-depth.
Who does any one person in general has a problem with this? Who do they call?
Well, right now, since we don't have a police force, it will be enforced, I guess, by the Graham County Sheriff's Office.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but even though we're in the city limits dealing with stuff, we still live in Graham County and the whole, and we pay county taxes, regardless whether it's a city police or a county sheriff department. It's all the same.
Yeah, so hopefully that will clear up the former confusion about what the
If
penalty
you
is.
have an issue, you just call the sheriff's department
Yeah.
and they follow everything.
To,
Go ahead, ma'am.
particular individual, I don't think any of us want to harm the dogs.
No.
Just
No.
want them, but it has been observed by one of our tenants that the owner, if he's having a problem with the dog, he just shoots them and leaves them there to die. And then he buries them, which animal cruelty is actually in somewhere. And
It's the
Yeah, we've got,
chapter,
yeah, there's a section on cruelty and cruel treatment.
you like me to read that, do you?
Sure.
Cruelty and cruel treatment. Every act, omission, or negligence whereby unjustifiable physical pain, suffering, or death is caused or permitted, such as act or omission shall include, but not limited to, beating, choking, kicking, hanging, submerging underwater, suffocation, poisoning, confining in a closed vehicle without functioning air conditioning or ventilation, whenever the ambient temperature exceeds 70 degrees Fahrenheit, confining within the closed trunk of a vehicle, setting on fire, and depriving of adequate food, water, shelter, and medical treatment, or otherwise subjecting the animal to conditions detrimental to its health or general welfare. So, and it's covered under the same penalty as the penalty covers the whole ordinance in the whole.
As, just one more question, I don't think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave.
Has the sheriff's department received a copy of this new ordinance? Or
Actually, we just received
Yeah,
this
our
about an
attorney,
hour ago.
our attorney just got it to us about a little while ago. I went ahead and made one out myself, but she sent this
Well, I
one.
know
to
the
us.
last time I spoke with you.
Yeah, I've been
You
working,
hadn't done a whole
yeah,
lot.
I've been working on one for several days, and the attorney
We
sent
have,
this.
we
and-
need to give to the sheriff's office.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
give him one week's time this.
I would love to have a copy of that sometime. I'll be happy to pay for it if I need to. but-
We'll get you a copy.
He's now mine.
Thank you. Sean, appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome, Dave.
That's all I need.
Mine.
Yeah. Mhm.
Can we get a couple copies of that, please?
Yeah, we'll get you one. Yeah. Would anybody else like to speak on the noise ordinance?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead, Phyllis.
Those dogs are coming over there. They've been doing it for a long time, and they're loud, and they bark and wake us up, and we can't get no sleep. Like they're just running like a pack of horses.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of the entire place. And they've been getting the cats, like I said, you know.
Yeah.
But they are huge, and I'm afraid to go out. What if it's an emergency? I had to go out, and I don't that was or other day, you know, I'm afraid of them, and I don't want to meet up with them. And I found out that some of them dogs growled and barked at some of our residents not too long ago, and and you know, a hound dog, some of them can bite you because
Oh, yeah.
like they're bears. They're bears,
Mhm.
they can bite you.
Mhm.
And but I am sort of scared of them, you know. I hate to say it, but you know,
Yeah.
I'd rather stay over that way, away from us, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Go ahead, ma'am.
So when this ordinance is passed, is it passed now or it's just?
No, we've got the passage.
You'll have to pass it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Guess you'll have to be reported to the
Yeah.
sheriff when you get it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Once we pass it, then we will notify the
Yeah.
sheriff's department that we have passed this ordinance. And then whenever they do receive the calls, they have that authorization to do their job.
Okay. So how will we know when it's passed? So we're not calling the sheriff every night and everything else.
Well, Yeah, we'll vote it.
We can vote on this today.
Yeah, it'll be passed in about 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Sheena.
Sean, I know firsthand, about, who it is. I know who it is. I know the person individually.
Yeah.
And he will, like, the gun, you can even hear guns go off. And you can hear the dogs screaming when he's shooting them. And it's not. And I've seen it out of my own eyes. I've seen him do that. And bury it right where the dog is laying.
Yeah.
You remember Dixie?
Yeah.
That's what happened to Dixie. You always wanted to know what happened to Dixie around the complex.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened to Dixie. And it shouldn't be that way.
No.
You shouldn't be able to shoot a dog just because it's barking and you'll shut up.
Shoot story.
And yeah.
Shoot story.
Yeah.
Well, I come up, I don't know whether it's an actual ordinance or not. Everybody's always said it, but nobody knows where it's
They
at.
said we can't do nothing about it because it's on his own property.
So,
Yeah.
the only thing I've been able to find is, it's criminal offense to shoot into an occupied dwelling, but I've not been able to find
Right.
it.
I'll check the ordinance. I believe it's in there, Ken.
Do.
I'll have to check it after the meeting. But, so how's the board feel about passing the ordinance?
I make a motion with pass the ordinance with tenants.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor? All right.
Looks
Anybody
like it's under,
opposed?
looks like it's under 5B, the
Yeah.
ordinance, so, yeah.
Oh,
It says not to mutilate or kill any animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's covered.
okay. Going back to the old town hall, I'm sorry, Mr. Wheeler, I read that wrong. You had the highest bid.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 22. Yeah, 22,000. Yeah, sorry about that. I read that wrong. Yeah.
All right.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
I will have to talk to the attorney about how to seal the deal and everything.
Okay.
All right, but you had the highest bid.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Congratulations.
Uh-huh.
Well, hopefully we can start doing something about it.
Be patient with the
Yeah.
sheriff's department. And it'll take a little bit of time, kind of get the point across.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
do have two little bitty chihuahuas, and unfortunately, they do get out and run right up the sidewalk. But, when they get out, I can't do nothing. All I can do is catch them. But we're not having a problem with my dog. This is not about my dogs in particular, because I'm not the only one that has dogs in the complex. But yeah, there's supposed to be a leash law. But unfortunately, mine does get out every now and then, and they do run the complex, and I have to, but, we always get them. They always come right back to us. And if one of those big dogs was to get, if my dog seen that big, one of those dogs, then it's gonna get eat up by that dog, because mine are little. Mine are little bitty dogs. And that, I don't want that to happen. And I don't want nothing to happen to Raphael either, because, Raphael's deaf. He can't hear if that dog is coming toward him, or he can see it, but he can't hear it. So, of course, she has the right to defeat the dog.
And we want to be able to come out if we need to. And they'll have like a pack of horses. Yes, oh, you never know, we
Yeah.
might have to come outside,
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, it's,
I don't want to see them today or what.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. All right. Anything else on the animal control ordinance? Next up, Mr. Starro. Oh, yeah, we're going to close. Did you have anything on anything? Okay, we'll just say that for closed then. Next up, under new business, I just want to say that we had received another letter regarding the loitering ordinance from the National Homelessness Law Center.
I will say this, I went to a meeting in Franklin last week along with some people from Graham County offices, and we are looking into fixing up something for drug rehabilitation. And I know we talked about homelessness stuff too. So there is progress being made toward something being done to help these people that are homeless and with drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
We got trouble.
But anyway, it just goes on explaining, people experiencing homeless are not on the street by choice, but because they lack choices. Punishment serves no constructive purpose. As stated by the United States Department of Justice, criminalizing homelessness is both unconstitutional and misguided public policy, leading to worse outcomes for people who are homeless and for their communities. Yeah, Michael, I'll let you give the finance officer update.
Take one and pass them down. I typed up my notes so there would we'll make sure we cover everything and have clarity. First, I wanted to update you on the 2022 audit. That's for the fiscal year from July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. That audit has not been completed. I reached out and spoke with the auditor. We have not provided any information they've requested since August 11th of 2022. So it's been about 10 months since they've received any new information from us. Despite multiple requests, I just got my email set up yesterday, so they're going to give me login access to the portal where all of our documents exist. They've received, and I've got a list of the documents and information that they need, and I'm working on collecting that. Some of the documents I've not been able to locate, so I may have to reconstruct some documents from the records that we have. So that's the current status of the update. Just to give you an idea, there are 35 items that they requested, and 10 of them were either not provided or reflected obvious and accurate information where it conflicted with other information that they had. So we've only provided about 2/3 of the audit of the document that the auditors requested. That's for the prior year, so almost 2 years ago to 1 year ago. The 2023 financial status, there have been none of the checking accounts have been reconciled in the current year. There were substantial unpaid invoices when I ran AP on Friday. There were multiple invoices that I paid for services rendered back in January, and ongoing services. And I've got vendors calling me this week saying they're going to discontinue services if we don't pay them. So I have been working to identify any unpaid invoices and vendors, and I mentioned this in the budget. This is added a complication to doing the budget, because if I assume all the bills are paid and I can project out, but if we've got 4 or 5 months of unpaid bills, I'm going to underestimate the expenses. So I'm working on getting the vendors paid, because we don't want disruption in services, and we don't want to have a bad standing with the people we use. So I am working aggressively to do that. And then I obtained a full list from the auditor of what we will need, because we're almost at the end of a fiscal year. We've only got 3 weeks left in this year. And on July 1, we need to start thinking for the current year audit. The closer we can get it done to the end of the year, the easier it's going to be. Reconstructing these on a forensic accounting level is complicated and difficult and time consuming. So we have worked with the some of the department heads to get some of the reporting that we need, like inventory, done on that time. And once we get the other issues addressed, we'll be ready to tackle that 2023 audit in the first half of July, or probably mid-July. We'll start communicating with the audit firm to provide them the information that they need. That third item is the budget status, which we covered previously. The final thing is the vacation sick comp time. There's been some reporting issues where those times have not been accurately reflected on employees' pay stubs, and so multiple employees have come and addressed me like, "Hey, my time isn't on here," and so I have started a tracker, and we're going back and manually reviewing the timesheets for the entire year to make sure that any consumption of time, either vacation or sick time or comp time, has been documented, and then the accrual of comp time is documented from the timesheets. And then what I intend to do in the near future is to review employment history to make sure that we're allocating the right amount of time for employees, because it's tiered based on how long you've been in service, and make sure that we have applied all paid time off to the employees. We'll have an independent tracker in addition to the payroll system, which I'll update so that we'll have the ability to verify that. Another important thing about this is that when we produce the financial statements that are required by the state law, we have to document the liability of what we owe in PTO. And so that is a necessary calculation that we have to do in order to get the final financial statements approved. Because if somebody's got 200 hours of time off and they make $20 an hour, we owe them that $4,000, right? Or whatever it is. So we need to make sure that we capture that. And then along the same lines, there are some issues with the current comp policy as it exists. I have some logistical concerns about that, and just as a heads up, I intend to bring some recommendations in the next meeting that we change that, but I wanted y'all to be aware of that ahead of time, that it is problematic as it exists. And another thing that doesn't appear to have been happening, the city has certain holidays, which everybody gets paid off, that's full-time, permanent employees. We have sick days and we have vacation days that the employees are allotted. But what we don't have is the staff, on people on staff that can cover when people are out. So in the budget that I'm going to produce, there will be a buffer of staffing in order so that employees can't take vacation. Because right now, if employee A is taking off, employee B is working 30 hours overtime. And so by increasing the staffing to a level where we can cover that, it ends up being cheaper for the city. Those are the issues I had. If y'all have any questions about any of these or anything else relating to the financial status of the city.
Well, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is American tank maintenance. And we had gotten out of this contract back last winter. Debbie wanted to get us back into it back in November. And the representatives, you can see the work that they done on one of the Long Creek tanks in the summer of 2020. You can see the paint already peeling off of it. And
Could be that orange.
there are big rust spots on it. And they said during that November meeting that they would come and redo that tank, and they've never showed up. In fact, they've not done anything all year except 4 visual inspections.
mayor keeps mentioning that I wanted to keep this contract with them, but
You did.
I did. I'm saying that I did. I went by what our maintenance supervisor told me. I don't know what it takes to keep these tanks up. I do know that if something was to happen and we have a company like American Tank backing it, then we have that support.
Is that right?
If something goes wrong.
And their disclaimer is that that's only what's in this contract. This agreement does not include the cost for and/or liability on the part of the company for removal, disposal of hazardous waste material, electrical wiring components, operational problems due to cold weather, acts of God, which can include all weather problems. So they're not going to respond to something that's caused by the weather, structural damage to your downtown, other attachment for which tanks was not reasonably designed, repairs to the foundation of the water storage tank, operational, structural problems caused by physical conditions below the surface of the ground, acts of terrorism, or other conditions which are beyond the owner and company's control. There is a paragraph, the company shall provide emergency service to handle any problems covered by this agreement with the water storage tank. But that's a disclaimer in the back, acts of God and all that.
You got anything to say about it?
No, I mean, it's kind of like car insurance. I mean, if you have it and something happens to it, obviously you're going to be liable, things that you can't do anything
Liable
about.
for what though, Ted? They just claim acts of God and several other things.
Well, saying the steel, there's pictures in there about the integrity of the steel, and this is covered under the contract in which they're going to be replacing that. And
When are they going to replace it?
well, I'm not exactly sure. I called and was trying to schedule an appointment with them.
Yeah.
And I received a voicemail back, said they have to approve it through you anywhere between July and September. Well, as soon as they contact you and let you know and you decide when, then we'll.
They not contacted me. They told me they were going to do it in the spring. And they also said they were going to get subcontracted out to Scott Eisenhower, which we could have got him to done it a lot cheaper, which wouldn't go for. We wouldn't even listen to him.
As far as the scheduling matters, I called the schedule and
He said
everything has to be approved.
He says you're his contact person.
And he is, because it's distribution. But,
Chad was our point of contact.
I mean, can I play the voicemail? But as far as being a point of contact, yes, I am, because I am doing the distribution, ORC for distributions, Eddie Sharp.
Yeah.
I mean, we are supposed to be the one to contact with these people.
And it was also in their contract. It's got different contracts for each tank. It says the company shall schedule and coordinate a washout inspection of the water storage tank every 2 years with the owner beginning contract 1. The company shall clean the water storage tank of all mud, silt, and other accumulations which may be harmful to the water storage tank and/or contents. Have they washed out any tanks, Chad? No, not a single
one. We don't
one.
have the means to do it right now, and you can talk with the water plant operator here as well.
Well, I mean, they should.
Put them offline if we can't give water to the public.
I mean, it shouldn't be in the contract if they can't do the job.
I didn't write this up. I mean, that's something that you'll have to talk with, the board and whoever drew the contract up.
They did do the ROVs, which
Yeah.
is more expensive than a washout, is what they said, was it not, Chad? The inspections where they send the camera down in the tanks and inspect them. They did do that.
That way we can keep the tanks online and see what is going on with the water without putting it offline.
Yeah.
As far as washing the tanks out, we can't take the tank offline for 2 or 3 days. People's not gonna have any water. And I asked about draining it all the way down and letting the water flow in and wash it out, and they said they couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't take it offline. I mean, we can't do that.
No.
But as far as telling them that they can't do things, I do, talk with Lamar since he's over the water plant and he handles the other things. But outside of that, I don't know anything else to say.
See, the town paid them $25,000 last year to do 4 visual inspections. Now, this year, we're gonna have to pay them $46,000.
Over the course of the agreement, you break that down and I'm assuming 10 years. 10 years, you divide it up, you're paying for everything. I mean, I know it shows that it's inspection or whatever, but if you do the math, they're breaking down the overall pay, which includes the steel work and the painting,
Yeah.
everything else entailed in the contract.
Yeah, but they need-
I know it's worded as
Yeah, I mean, they need to do it. They said they were gonna do it this year, and they've not.
they can't do it until July to September. I don't know anything about it though. That's out of my second license.
Next up is invoice cloud. And Amanda's been having several issues with that. And she wants to see if we can get a different company to handle that, if the board would be open to that.
No, big two for her to use.
She was going to reach out to some of them.
Maybe our next meeting, she can have someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gives them options, everything.
Now we just need to see how it all works together.
I know she's had issues this month.
It's been 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah, last months weren't identified properly, and the dates were all messed up. It's been at least 2 months.
Yeah, still different issues.
We'll try to have some other options by the next meeting. We've got a couple issues to go into closed about.
It's over under here. Personnel or personnel mode.
Yeah.
In pursuant to the provisions of North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11C, I move that the town of Robbinsville Town Council go into closed session for the purpose of considering personnel matters as defined by and allowed by North Carolina Statute 143-318.11A and North Carolina Statute 168-168.
Appreciate everybody coming out.